All right, the next stock that we're going to be taking a look at is GRUB, GrubHub Inc. All right, so this one, again, I mean, Joe brought this one over to me early this morning before market opened, and that was currently trading at 36.57 when he brought this over to me. So let's see where we're at right here. 36.33 on the open. Let me take a look at the moving averages here. Okay, so again, you've got a lot of things starting to shape up here. Okay, again, with the Bollinger Bands, you know, we go off of them. I'm not going to repeat it every single time, but hey, I'm telling you how we do it. Everybody does it different in their charts. It's cool, but what works for us, this is what works for me. So looking into GRUBHub Inc., GRUB. Right here, you see the 30, 10, and 20-day simple moving average tighten together. Same thing with the Bollinger Bands, currently trading at 36.95. I'm going to bluntly say it right here. If these simple day moving averages fall, it's going up. Right here. If you see these colored lines start going down, you see 37 bucks. Let's go with about 37.21. You're going to go up. If it bounces off that, you might head it back down that Bollinger Band. Okay. Taking a look over here, you see what happened on, we'll talk about what happened here, but it got outside that Bollinger Band and boom, bounces it in, comes back down, couldn't make it through, didn't even get up to that 20-day, but it pounded back down, got through that 20-day, got up to the 30-day, and that 30-day was a resistance level. I think you're starting to see that again right here, and it just pounded it right back down. So that's why, looking into the past, you can kind of get an idea of why I'm saying that I'd like to see these simple day moving averages fall, because those simple day moving averages fall. What I mean by that, breaking through and getting a close up, what did I say about 37.21 area? Yeah, we'll stick with 37.21 area. If 37.21 falls, it's going to go up. If it can't hold this, it might start going back down. So real quick here, I want to talk about this before Joe jumps in here, but I want to talk about what happened. All right, and I want to talk about social media again briefly. Not as much details as I did earlier in the previous stream of, I think it was Boeing that we were talking. No, yeah, actually it was Chipotle that I talked about this. But with social media, you see this big drop right here. This right here was a really a bad time for GrubHub. So basically, what followed here, and you see this big red day and this pound down right here, this is where this happened with social media. What happened here is that this CEO sent out an email. I'm not going to get into the email. I'm not going to judge it for what I think it is, because I'm not getting into politics. You guys that watch my streams know I do not get into politics here. It's just not something that I talk about out of respect, because everybody has their own opinions, and I don't like to bump heads with people, quite frankly. So what happened here is the GrubHub CEO sent out an email, and according to social networks, the email basically said that if you voted for Donald Trump, go ahead and resign. That is what happened across social media. Bluntly, that is what people said. Did it say that? I don't know. I read the email briefly, but I'm not going to judge on it. I'm not going to do that. But people flipped out. People got pissed off that they felt that the company was saying, if you voted for Donald Trump, quit here. So what happened was a firestorm across all social networks, especially on Twitter, and the hashtag boycott GrubHub took off and got really popular quick. And that stock just took a beating. It hit a high on the 10th, right after the election, and then hit a low of 34.66. So, I mean, you went from 39.20 down to 34.66, and high volume selling here, just because of that. Like I said, I can't judge for that. The CEO or the company came out and said, no, that's not what he meant. Again, you can use that for your own opinion, but that's what happened. And that's what we see with the power of social media, especially in a stock price. A high volume sell day, and the stock took a beating. And you've seen an outlash from Trump supporters on Twitter. Everybody went boycott GrubHub, and started putting negative reviews on their apps. Everybody started putting a negative 1 star, started uninstalling their apps, trying to hurt the company because of that. That's what happened here. That's why you see that big drop off there. What you're seeing now, I think, is a recovery. All right, people start freaking out. Everybody started they're starting to boycott this company on Twitter. Everybody get out. And when you're on Twitter, that's all you've seen was boycott GrubHub everywhere. So you see this massive sell-off coming through. But it returned. It did. And here we are in a new day, new week. And you're starting to see a correction of the price. So again, if it can make it through the 10, 20, and 30-day simple moving average, I think GrubHub is going to head back up. And that is all I have to add for GrubHub. Joe, if you'd like to add in anything else.
Well, I mean, I was just looking at like certain things on their filings. So the revenue was in the quarter. Like, let's see. Let me go back to this. So like, you know how it dropped the 11%? Was it 11%?
Yeah.
All right. Well, it said revenue in this quarter, it was up 44% to 123 million, topping expectations. So they beat the market expectations like last quarter.
When was that, Joe? When was that out? That was on 10/26.
Last month. Yeah.
Yeah, but that went from.
So that was before he did what he did, right?
Right. Yeah. So that was 44.07. Hold on. All right, and then so 44.07 when that happened was a high, and that was the day before the earnings, and then it dropped off and hit a low of 37.72, which was a 14.41% decrease, and where you're currently trading at right now, off of that, is a decrease of 16.66% off of that right before the earnings, Joe. So you're down right now 16.66% from the 44.07 to the 36.73 /74 where we're currently trading. So that's all I have to really add for that. I mean, especially, 16.63 down right now from there.
So they basically their earnings were up, but they say when they did their last quarterly, the third quarter, it was based on the number of users. So
right.
the investors were basically targeting the fact that they had less users like joining the actual site. I'm not gonna say I've ever heard of GrubHub until recently. I just heard about it the other day. Last night when I was basically researching different possible investments for people.
Hey, that happens, man.
I've never heard of it before until now. That's basically what it comes down to.
Right.
But I mean, with their quarterly, I mean they did well where they beat the expectations, but yet they were looked down upon or frowned upon over the fact that their actual sign-ons or registered users were down.
Which, right. Well, you got to figure, Joe. Well, you're talking about this back in the end of July. So while he was talking about that, I did a quick calculation here, and from the low of that day at $30.53, the next day it hit a high of $39.29, and it opened at $35.53. So it still had to jump that day, but just from the low of the previous day, bouncing off of that again. I mean, that 30-day simple moving average with GrubHub is a huge player. Huge player right here. Again, right here, when it bounces off that, it goes. And when it falls through it, it falls. I mean, we see that over and over. That's why I'm saying if it can make it through there right now, if it could get up there and break through that 37.21 area, I think it's going to rock and roll. But to get back on what Joe was saying when he was talking about the earnings over here, I mean, that day, literally overnight, from the low of the 27th to the high of the 28th, you're talking 28.69% gain. All right. And after that earnings, you got up to, let's see, was this the highest? That looks like that was the highest at 44.58. So 44.58. So off of that, I mean, you're going from July 27th to 2 months later, September 29th, literally 2 months to the date later, you're up 46%, Joe, for a big board stock. I mean, that's pretty damn good. And I mean, you're at that point, you're going to see profit taking, especially from a big board stock,
Mm-hmm.
and you did. I mean, you were at 44.58.
Yeah, but see right there, like if you look at the October, right?
Yeah.
In October, when they did that quarterly, they reported a 44% increase in revenue. Okay, so and then you see how it goes down. Like
Yeah.
people didn't like that. It wasn't like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I
That
don't know
didn't
why, but like,
strike well because they were saying like, well, with that, despite the 44% increase in revenue, their growth was down still since user growth is not keeping up with revenue. So now they're pushing the perception not being there for it to keep like continue on with that with the expansion, I guess.
right.
I don't know.
Well,
I mean, but
even
then
for,
you got to see how it kind of recovered right there.
uh-huh.
And what day is it? The 10th.
Yeah.
See where you got 10, 11? Where is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
You had the thing. I'm looking at your chart. That's why. Yeah, right there. So I mean, it starts to recover right there, and then all of a sudden the CEO says what he says, and then it goes back down there, like
Right. So
takes a
basically, like from what I'm seeing here, Joe, I mean, you go from this right here on the 29th, which was that high. Okay. So we're talking about 46% gain, 2 months. And then within 11 days, or I'm sorry, 9 days, you drop down another 12%. But right here, what I'm seeing are swings of 11%. I'm seeing that everywhere. Boom, boom, boom. Each one of these swings are 11% swings, anywhere from 11 to 13, 14, 11 to 13, 14 slash percent swings. All right. I'm just telling you how I see it. And this is basically, like I said, this is what we do. So again, with Grub, that's basically all I got to add to it. I mean, there's not really too much else. I basically wanted to touch base. My important thing was touching base on what social media does. And one other thing too, again, was the 30-day simple moving average, which is that dark line. So again, rewatch the video. You're watching this today or next week, like I say in all the videos. Right now it's December 7th, 2016 at 11:20 a.m. Eastern. Check us out, investorshangout.com/live for the next stream. We can go over it again. So if you're interested in learning more about it, you want to talk about it in 2 months, 3 months, another year from now, head on over there. Let us know. We will add it to the list. So, Joe, real quick on the earnings, I'm going to touch base on that with you, and then we'll go to the next one. But a lot of things that people pay attention to is, like you said, the earnings might have been up, but the memberships might have been down. And people get shaky on that. Well, right? I mean, it's true. So if the revenue,
Yeah, no, I remember like before when I was like following Netflix a lot.
right?
I remember before I got really pissed off because they had it was like a 15% after hours like drop, and that was like freaking. That's a lot when you're talking about that kind of a stock,
Yeah. Oh,
It was an
yeah.
after hours drop of 15%. So literally, I wrote a post about it. I remember years ago, and I basically dissected like the way that the perception was being like portrayed in the actual like truth behind the company. And sure enough, yeah, I was right. But the fact is, that kind of stuff happens. It's like
Right. Well, that's what.
good old money.
Yep.
Yeah, because that one right there, say with Netflix, they were basically, doing the same thing. They were like, oh well, they're not sustaining their actual membership growth, blah blah blah, and they're pushing out all this money, and they're not going to have like certain like revenues or whatever, and they weren't going to meet certain expectations. And but they kind of like hid the fact that what they're not they've adjusted their expectations where they came up instead of like claiming to have like a certain loss, to having like a plus, and the reason for that loss or the negatives were they were basically building their infrastructure in Europe. You know what I mean? So now they're doing this big expansion. This was like, I'm going back, what, maybe that was like 2 or 3 years ago. They're doing this huge expansion and they're all like frowned upon, like, oh, they're not like meeting their growth potential, blah, blah, blah. And, you know,
Right.
obviously that didn't happen because it ended up shooting up a couple 100% from that point. That was when, what's his name, ended up taking a huge stake in it.
Who's that?
Carl Icahn. Remember that was pretty much like the biggest, I think, financial gain for an investment. I think I forget what it was. It was something like that. It was something like from like $48 a share up to like, I think he started selling it like one and change or something, but it still pushed up to like the threes.
Right. Well, you know, too, one thing, like I said, I want to cover real quickly one more time with, you know, earnings and memberships and stuff like that. I mean, Investors Hangout, for example, I mean, we don't charge for memberships, and these companies do. We basically we do it all off of advertisements and stuff like that. We don't have overhead like, you know, GrubHub. A lot of the stuff that we do, I mean, I taught myself how to code. You know what I mean? It's just something that I enjoy. So why hire other people to do something that you actually enjoy doing that's helping your own company? I mean, me and Joe built this company from nothing, from the ground up, and we do our own thing. I could never imagine being a publicly traded company, you know? And when these companies come out and say, our memberships are dropping, but our earnings are going up, what are you going to do as an investor? You're going to be like, well, what the hell is going on here? Right now, we're more concerned about the company base, the growth, the memberships, you know, and how you're going to, what is your plan on growing? And unfortunately, like, for example, I mean, when you're in a company, for example, just GrubHub, I don't know too much about it. I know that it's an app. That's all I really know. But for example, with Investors Hangout, me and Joe, again, we've got to collaborate, especially every year like we do around this time. We make a plan. What are we going to do for 2017, right, Joe? I mean, we do it every year. What's our plan? What's our execution for the following year? And as Joe said about a half hour ago, and he made an excellent point, is about technology, virtual reality. Stuff that, and me and him were talking on a topic. We're not going to get into it, but we were talking on a topic last night that was about virtual reality. What can we do at Investors Hangout to keep up with technology? We have our forums. Our forums are, you know, you can go to HTML5 forums that automatically update like Twitter and Facebook and stuff like that. But we like to keep it the way it is because it's a static information form. You know what I mean? We want to make it easy for people to navigate and stuff like that. But to get to the point with this is that we got to stay above the game too. I mean, that's why we do these streams. That's why we're going to start allowing our members to stream on the boards, because you got to come up with those kind of ideas. And when you have companies like this that have one product, that how you got to look at their growth rate. And I think that's exactly what they might be facing now is like, you know, they got competitors. For example, Joe talked about Netflix. I mean, you look into Netflix, they have their own problems that they got to face, you know, Joe, because they got to stay up with technology. For example, I don't have, I canceled, my wife just said, hey, you know I say this to you once every year, but are you going to cancel the Netflix DVD? No, I'm not maybe next year. I use it still. So my wife did to me what I do to Joe. Well, look into it. How much you really use it? Joe knows I do that, and he'll shove it right back at me just like my wife did. And she's like, well, how often have you used it? So I go into my Netflix account. I log into my Netflix account, and I go to my DVD queue. I look at it. I'm like, holy shit. I haven't rented a movie from Netflix for 14 months, and I pay for it every single month. Why? Well, there's a few reasons why. You've got Redbox. You've got services out there now. You can stream new shows, DVDs, live to your TV. I mean, I've got all smart TVs in my house. I go literally my phone. I can pull up my phone, click one button, and watch any movie I want. Any movie. So what's Netflix going to do? me personally, I would start looking into making a deal with these people when they come into theaters, the day that they're released, or even 2 weeks before they go
Yeah,
into
but
theaters.
that's tough too, right there.
It
'Cause
is
you gotta do
extremely
that, and
tough.
you're gonna pull so many people from going out and leaving their house and stuff. Like with technology in general, what's happening right now, and like it's crazy to see, but I mean, you're witnessing it right there in your face. Like, say, I remember watching a TED Talk thing there. What is it called? TEDx with Sergey Brin. You know, he's the co-founder of Google, and that was when he was pulling. They were kind of introducing Google Glass. So he was talking about the reasons and the reasons behind it, and how, like, which I noticed too, and I'm sure everybody else does, is when you go somewhere and you're constantly seeing people on your phone. Anywhere you go, people are basically just looking at their phone. You
Hmm.
know, regardless, it doesn't matter what they're doing. There's always somebody that's concentrating on their phone. And like with me, I had a reality slap when my phone had broke, and I just said screw it, man. I went maybe 3 weeks without a phone, right? And then I think it was even closer to a month, because
Right.
I sent it out. I sent it out to Samsung where they just repaired it for me, and I said whatever. I didn't care. But I mean, it changed. It was like that addiction to having that phone. But when he was discussing, how everybody's on the phone, and like the reason why they're trying to put it up like on glass so that people will be able to see like the life in front of them. But then what we see happening right now is, like, if you guys have kids, you watch the movie Wall-E, right?
Right.
Wall-E, it's basically when you see them people. I mean, they're on a spaceship, and but yet they have, like, say, a VR on their face, and they don't do anything. Like, they're not there in reality, in a sense, where they don't realize what's going on until, like, somebody kind of pushes them off their little, like, I don't know, like a walker type deal, like
Hmm.
a space age thing. But I mean, they're just constantly in that. So I mean, that's where VR, I personally feel, is the next thing that's coming, and well,
No,
it's
I
obviously coming.
a hundred
But
percent.
there's gonna be, I'm just kind of, in a sense, I'm scared of it.
Right. No, I
Because if you see the way people are on their phones right now, what's gonna happen? Like, all these people will be like in that other world, in a sense.
right. Well, Joe just posted. Here's where I wrote about Netflix after seeing a 15% drop, after hours drop. So that's over there in the chat. Again, I mean, you can
Yeah, click
investorstakeout.com
on
forward
that
slash.
really quick. Hey, click on that really quick. Watch. I was pissed off when I seen that 15%. I remember that. That was a few years back. Like, I was already done investing at this time, but I didn't like the fact that how that happened, because I mean, I know a lot of people that do invest, and I seen what happened, and where that they're portraying this perception of the company at that time that actually wasn't there, and there was no need for it. So when you sit there and you have that kind of drop, you got people that are getting basically wiped out, in a sense.
Mm-hmm. No, exactly. So, hey, we're gonna move forward here. I mean, we this is definitely. I mean, we're gonna keep a short stream here, but I mean, we this is what I'm talking about. We can come on here and really talk about a lot of stuff that really matters in the market. So that is it
See,
for
go down
GrubHub.
right there. Watch this right here, right here. Quarterly profit right there. Go no, up a little more.
I
I'm looking
really
at your thing right
actually
there.
left that.
Oh, you know why? I'm looking at your chart on the delayed.
That's all right. All right. So everybody
uh,
that's watching here,
my
again, you know
bad.
what? Thanks for checking out our quick video here. I tried to keep it quick, but you can hear what we do over here at investorsingout.com forward slash live. That is stock ticker symbol GRUB.